we can't buy time, but we can receive it. There's precisely 168 hours in a week, this week, next week. And we roughly spend that time sleeping, working, and doing everything else.
Today's topic, managing your energy. And so, Erin, a question for you. Over the last few decades, we've seen kind of a reconceptualization of time management into more energy management. Mm-hmm. Talk to us a little bit in terms of that relationship. How does it relate to each other, if you could?
Yeah. Thanks for the opening question, Daniel. And I look forward to hearing everyone's questions on this topic as we go through it. So the idea of finding time, right, is an elusive one because we all have the exact same amount of time. There's precisely 168 hours in a week, this week, next week. And we roughly spend that time sleeping, working, and doing everything else, right? We can't buy time, but we can receive it. Have you ever heard the quote, the greatest gift you can give someone is your time? So if giving someone your time is a gift, also giving yourself time is a gift, right? Only we can decide how we spend that 168 hours. And while there's no magic solution to solving this time crunch, there are strategies that we can deploy to more effectively manage both our energy and our time. There's work-life effectiveness strategies that we can implement to refresh and renew our energy. Because again, while time is finite, energy can be renewed. So I'll say before we dive into this, not having enough time can be intensely overwhelming. We're expected to manage so many things and sleep. Let's not forget sleep. And there's always a lot coming at us from different directions. Sometimes when we have so much to do, we feel numb. Sure, systems, routines, and technologies can help some, but some of these areas in our life simply require that gift of time. And so the core problem we face is that working longer hours does not fix our situation because all of our obligations still remain and time simply runs out. And so while some of us do respond to rising demands in the workplace by putting in longer hours, sure, this may work as a short-term fix, but if this is sustained over periods of time, it takes a toll on us physically, mentally, emotionally. And then this leads to declining levels of engagement, increasing levels of distraction, and health concerns. So that's why when we look at this topic, we have to include energy management into time management, because it's not just about time, because it's finite. Sorry, I know that was a little long-winded, but
that's great. And I love it because I think back to some of kind of the initial thoughts that we often are taught in terms of time management, all solid principles, especially the metaphor of rocks, for example. You put the big rocks in first and then the middle-sized rocks and the small rocks to be able to get the most important things done. Yes.
Yeah.
And then to add to that is how you show up in terms of the energy that you have. Fantastic comments. And so a question for you, Erin, if you only had more time, what would you do? And frankly, let's open it up to everybody here. If you weren't limited in time, what would you do differently?
You know, for me, I would actually say, and I've thought a lot about this, is I would want to volunteer more. I feel like my time is limited, especially at this stage of life. You know, I'm an active parent, plus work and plus taking the time for myself. So my 168 hours kind of goes to those three things. And I would love to volunteer more. What about you, Daniel?
So, you know, I've been thinking on this, and what I keep thinking about is if I had more time, I'd love to be even more present in conversations. You know how you're present, you're active, but then there's something in the back of your mind saying, hey, you have 100 other things you got to do.
Yeah.
I would love to ease that a little bit more so that I could be even more present with people in conversations. That's something that I'd love to be able to just build that even stronger.
I agree with that. And I'm just loving these answers here. I love to finish my novels, research, write a book. We got a lot of budding authors here. Love it. Create more art.
Yeah, I was just noticing that. It's fantastic.
Visit people.
Catching up with people. Oftentimes it's these things that we push aside, but are tremendously fulfilling and actually will help us increase our productivity, so to speak. Here's the question. Does one less hour of sleep give you one more hour of productivity? Erin, what's your reaction to that question?
Oh, I'd like to see what the group says in the Q&A, what they think. I've looked at the research. I have studied the research on this. And I would say the answer is no, it does not give us more productivity. And here's why. The research tells us actually more than 97% of us do need at least 7 hours of sleep at night. When we are sleep deprived, we're actually less efficient. So we have less energy available to us. Our mood suffers. And when our mood suffers, we're not in that high positive energy. And then we think less clearly. So we're actually less efficient when we're sleep deprived. Are there days when this happens? Absolutely. You know, for me, days when this happens to me, I try not to do anything very important that day, if I could help it. But yeah, I just know that. But yeah, power naps. I mean, that could be one way to combat that. Oh, I love stretching. Yeah, I forgot about stretching as a nice renewal ritual. Yeah.
As you're talking, I'm thinking to my personal habits.
Yeah.
So I feel like I need to confess, you know, because it's like this has been even in high school. I mean, my goal, I would go to sleep at like at 11:10 at night, and I'd wake up at 5:10 because I had an early morning religious study class, and then I'd go to high school. And I remember thinking 6 hours, that's all I need. And equating that with this, I'll just say it, this sense of macho, this sense of I can do it, I can conquer. And I sit back and I'm like, wow, that is not a healthy perspective. And I'm glad, I'm pleased to say as I've gotten older, I've changed that mindset of like, no, sleep actually helps me show up better, helps me be more attentive. So yes, there's my confession time.
There you go. There you go. A badge of honor, right? Not really a badge of honor. Yeah.
It's not, but yet sometimes it can feel like it is. And again, we're not talking about the odd day that craziness is going on, late nights with kids or travel. But the point is to find opportunities to then renew. Without those points of renewal. We're not like computers. We cannot just keep functioning perpetually.
That's right. Or we go to the burnout.
Yeah, right. This last question we have really gets at prioritization. As we talked at the top of the hour around time management to energy management, inevitably it's how do we prioritize in helpful ways so that we can get stuff done and we can feel good about it in important ways. So does effective prioritization result in better time management? What is that relationship? And for listeners, you can all chime in and write your comments here. Erin, as we're kind of awaiting and looking at some of the responses that come in, how would you answer this question?
I would say that prioritization is, essentially the action or the process of deciding the relative importance or urgency of something. And so in that sense, absolutely, it's a time management strategy. And because you're doing the most important thing first, you're managing your time more effectively. The trap I see some of us fall into, including me, is, oh, I want to do the easiest thing first. Well, the easiest thing may not be the most important thing. So am I really managing my time effectively?
Yeah.
Yep, there you go.
Strong connection.
Yeah.
And importance and urgency grid that many of us have seen. This deserves a revisit multiple times to be able to then check in. I'll often, whenever any executive is working on the delegating or managing their workload, I'll often say, we start off with making the list. And the list is all of the stuff on your plate. What is it? And now let's be very disciplined in identifying where does it actually fall? What can you delegate? What is important? What can you say no to? And it's figuring out how to, there's a lot of different ways of saying no as well without actually NO. So you can then still be receptive, be engaged as well. Comments on this, Erin?
Yeah, I mean, this is a this is a good matrix to maybe try to implement if you're thinking right now. I would think a way to put this in practice is think about maybe 3 or 5 things you need to accomplish. How would you put them on this matrix, right? How would you put them on this matrix according to urgency and importance? And, try that out. Again, sometimes we fall to the low because it might be easy. But using this as a tool can really help us, again, maintain focus. I think somebody put that in the enhances focus. Robert, thank you for that comment.
And also, Erin, to make sure that we are drinking the same medicine that we're preaching.
Yes.
We want to make sure that we can end in the next couple of minutes to give people a nice buffer, of course. So here's really the last thing we want to end on is a set of 7 prioritization questions that we've culled together and have used for a number of years to help leaders in any position make sense and to use as a framework to help organize what is most important. Because this is key. And this is not just something to be asked once a month, but frequently to then continue to look through, does this help accomplish my goals? Does it matter to my boss? Does this align with my job? Does this contribute to my organization? Does this require me to stop or pause something else? And does this need to be done at all? There may be additional questions, of course, that you have your own favorites, but this is a powerful framework that we wanted to share with everybody. Erin, as we're kind of wrapping up here, I'll put this last point slide up here that kind of summarizes what is one thing that you would want to leave people with as they're thinking on this managing their energy topic?
I have 2 quick ones.
Please.
I know you said 1, but I have 2 quick ones. I want you all to think of yourself as your own. You're all CEOs. You're all your chief energy officers, right? You have the control. And then the second one is when you're saying yes to something, what are you saying no to? And this kind of goes against this last topic of prioritization. You say yes to something. What are you really saying no to? So those are the 2 items I will leave everyone with.
Great words of wisdom here. Thank you, Erin, for being a guest on the Leadership Growth Hour. It's been an absolute pleasure. And also to keep up to date on all future events, please sign up for our monthly newsletter at stewartleadership.com/newsletter. We'd love to have you join us next time. And until next time, all the best. Hope this has been helpful.